You have probably seen meme movies where hacking is portrayed like this.
What is going on?
Now I will show you a serious website attack that is commonly used.
Website defacement attack.
Web defacement is an attack in which malicious parties penetrate a website and replace content on the site with their own messages. So how does it work? Defacing attacks are generally executed via one of four ways.
1. Unauthorized access.
This one is relatively simple. A hacker has somehow gotten the credit code to access your web hosting and change the website file directly. For example, assume that the attacker wants to break into Bob's system by using SSH. To get access, the attacker may try to brute force Bob's password. Assume the attacker first tries password 12345. The login attempt is sent to Bob, but since 12345 is not the correct password, Bob's system reacts with an error message. After reception of this error message, the attacker knows that the password 12345 doesn't work. The attacker may now try another password, for example ABCDE. The second login attempt is also sent to Bob, but since ABCDE is also incorrect, an error message is returned again. The attacker knows that ABCDE is also incorrect and may now try using Alice as password. The third login attempt is now sent to Bob, but this time the attacker gets the right password and a welcome message is returned. The attacker has now gained access to Bob's system by guessing a number of passwords. A brute force attack to guess passwords is just one way to get unauthorized access. Other way to get login credentials is to perform phishing or social engineering attacks. Once the attacker has access, he may install a rootkit or a backdoor to allow later login attempts.
2. Skull injection.
SQL injection is a vulnerability that consists of attacker interfering with the SQL queries that an application makes to the backend database. So if you as an attacker can manage to interact and change the SQL query by adding SQL characters or SQL code in an input vector of an application, then the application is definitely vulnerable to SQL injection. Now, to better understand, let's take an example. Imagine you have an attacker, a web server, and a database. The application that the web server hosts has an authentication functionality where the user has to put their username and password, and once the username and password are put in, equity is made to the database to see if this username and password are in database, and if they are, then the user is presented with his or her profile page. If the user enters an incorrect username or password, then the user is presented with an error message. Let's say you have entered an incorrect username or password. So in this case, we clearly have two input vectors, the username field and the password field. Talk to the backend database so they can get included in a query in the backend database. So we definitely need to test this input vector for a SQL injection vulnerability to see if that input is validated in any way. After gaining some information, the hacker can gain administrative rights to your database and manipulate the site as he sees fit.
3. Cross-site scripting XSS.
Cross-site scripting is a vulnerability in a web application that allows a third party to execute a script in the user browser on behalf of the web application. Cross-site scripting is one of the most relevant vulnerabilities present on the web today. The exploitation of XSS against a user can lead to various consequences, such as account compromise, account deletion, privilege escalation, malware infection, and many more.
4. DNS hijacking.
DNS hijacking is cyber criminals hack the DNS, either by changing the DNS server address or intercepting the communication between your device and DNS server. After hacking, they replace the actual server IP address with the site. If you try to open google.com, you will be redirected to the hacker page. Hacker could use the DNS hijacking or redirection attack to display advertisement or display a phishing website to steal your confidential information. They generate revenue by advertising or stealing your money directly by infiltrating the bank login detail or credit card.
How to protect your website from these attacks.
Here are a few ways to help you fight them.
Following the principle of least privilege is a concept information security. All users are given the minimum level of access or permission to do their job. By limiting access and permission to your website, you decrease the risk of compromised account doing damage. Never use the default admin or email. When setting up a server or CMS, always change the default user, password, and directory because hackers know them all too well and try to use them to gain access to your website. Always use SSL on your website because this encrypts all communications between the user and your website, preventing man-in-the-middle attacks which can be used to deface your website for a specific user. Scan for vulnerabilities. Regularly check your website for vulnerabilities and take the time to remove them completely. This can be time-consuming and may even break some of your website function, but this is the best way to make sure your website is secure and reduces the chance of your website getting hacked.
How does Deface Attack affect e-commerce websites?
A defaced website can lead to a loss of customer trust in the website security and reliability. This can result in a decrease in sales. A defaced website can also damage the brand reputation of the e-commerce website, making it difficult to attract new customers and retain existing ones. A deface attack can also result in loss of sensitive data, such as customer information, payment detail, and other confidential information. It is important for e-commerce websites to take necessary precautions to prevent such attacks from happening and to have a plan in place to respond to them if they do occur. This includes implementing strong security measures, regularly monitoring the website for vulnerabilities, and having disaster recovery plans in place.